Hey dudes, it's Lerald. Harbingers have historically been one of my favorite mechanics in Path of Exile, but they've kind of gone by the wayside in the last several leagues. I think the general conception of them is that they're just bad, but with the right setup, I think they're actually pretty good. So last week we put out a video about farming Corrupted 8 mod Delirious maps. I had filled up an entire dump tab, a full quad tab with 8 mod Delirious maps, and I was looking for a way to spin some of the 550 plus Corrupted 8 mod Delirious tier 16s I had sitting around eating up all that space. And I think I've really found it here. Now, as a disclaimer, this is a strategy that requires a very specific setup in order to function. If you don't follow what we lay out in this video, it may suck. That's on you. So this is a strategy that involves killing tons and tons of monsters in each map. I think the absolute lowest stand I've killed was maybe like 3,500 in a single map, but usually it's like 5,000 or 6,000. I've hit 10,000 in multiple maps along the way as well. So because of this, you are going to get a lot of random loot. Some of it will be very valuable. I think I pulled like a lot of Valdos maps in one of the little tests I did here. I have also gotten just like mountains of gold, and then also you'll get a lot of XP. I farmed all the way up to level 99 doing this strategy. I'm probably going to go to level 100 with it as well. Now, Harbingers are a gamble strategy, kind of like Ambush, but unlike Ambush, which is generally thought of as the premier gamble strategy, Harbingers are a super cheap gamble to run. On a per map basis, you're spending less than 20 chaos on Scarabs and the map device. I think it may actually be better than Ambush over the course of time, despite costing less than 10% as much as a single containment Scarab for that exact reason. It's just so much more efficient. But there is RNG. You know, if you do like 10 maps in a row, you may have bad luck and not really make that much. You're still going to make a decent amount, but, you know, not as much as you might in the span of 10 maps of Ambush. But again, you can lose currency in doing Ambush as well. RNG is RNG, baby. So let's get into it, but first be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join our Discord. There is a link in the description. And just as a note on YouTube comments, we are still a two-person channel. I'm talking right now, but Sunset is usually the one in the comments section. We really make an effort to answer all of the YouTube comments and questions, so ask away. If you have follow-up questions after we've given our initial response, though, those are a lot harder to see in YouTube's comment management system, so you're better off joining the Discord and talking there. Alright, so let's talk a bit about Harbingers. Harbingers are first off, they're just a bunch of blue guys, right? I've always enjoyed the fact that they're blue. That's just a fun extra bonus for them. But they're a very Scarab-hungry, but passive tree point cheap mechanic. So this allows you to synergize with other mechanics that are basically the opposite. They require a lot of passive points, but their Scarabs are bad, or even just simply like they are a good mechanic, but the Scarabs are bad. There are also some real, scaling issues and positives out of Harbingers. It spawns a ton of guys. So mechanics that interact positively with scaling, a ton of guys in your maps, such as Beyond and Delirium, work really well with Harbingers. But then there are also the issues. If you're doing tier 16.5 or tier 17 maps that have massive quantity rolls on them, Harbingers don't actually benefit from those massive quantity rolls in terms of the currency splinters that they drop, right? So when you kill Harbingers, you're mostly just going to get chaos orbs and chaos splinters, which is fine. I got a ton of chaos. I think I averaged somewhere between 25 and 35 chaos per map doing this in tier 16s and tier 16.5s, which is cool. I mean, raw chaos, that's pretty good. And then you also will get a mixture of annulment orbs and exalted orbs and their various splinters. And then also you'll get fracturing shards and potentially fracturing orbs. And those are kind of the most common big jackpot that you can get out of this strategy. You can get mirror shards. I've had it happen before. Haven't had it happen this league. It's pretty rare, but obviously when that does happen, it's a humongous jackpot. And really that is the main reason that you would want to run Harbingers, not really for mirror shards, but specifically fishing for fracturing shards and exalted orbs. That's really kind of the biggest value that you get out of this as a strategy. Now, although Harbingers don't scale with the more currency modifiers that are on tier 16s and tier 17.5 maps, they do scale really well with quantity and pack size. So when you have a big collection of maps that are 8 modded, Delirious, and Corrupted, and for example, this map right here is kind of a perfect option for it, right? No more currency mod on this, but a high quant, high pack size. This is a great map for running this. Unfortunately, it has that less recovery rate of life and energy shield, so I didn't really feel like slogging through it, but this would be a fantastic map for running this strategy, and kind of a terrible map for running most other currency farming strategies where you're specifically trying to farm more currency. And this map would be the exact opposite, right? Amazing for a more currency-oriented strategy. Kind of terrible for this strategy. The quantity's not that high, the pack size isn't that high. So this is, I think, a strategy that's really good for chewing up a lot of tier 16.5s, or tier 16s just generically, but tier 16.5s that are corrupted in a way where they're not really that useful for other setups. All right, so let's talk about the setup for this strategy, and I'll start with the Atlas passive tree, which this is kind of the one area where we have some wiggle room. We're going to take every single one of the Harbinger nodes in the entire tree, every single one of the small and large passives. We want every single bit of a bonus that comes from Harbingers, and then we also want all the map mod effect that we can possibly get. I am running all corrupted 8 mod maps, so Chiseled Perfection is a useless node here. But invasive adversaries, I watched Sir Gog's video from last week, and I was reminded once again, I think by him, actually, I think it's like the second or third time he's pointed this out, and I've gone, oh yeah, I need to never forget that. Invasive adversaries is a very good node. It's just 10% more monster packs in your maps. Really good. Also, Remarkable Relics is apparently kind of an overrated bonus by the community, including myself. It just really isn't statistically that great. And since mostly what we're doing is we are kind of fishing for a lot of currency with this strategy, I'm really not taking that many Scarab nodes. Like, I am still taking Skittering Swarms and Explorative Carapaces. I do think those are worth taking in virtually every strategy, but I'm not breaking my back to take all the rest of the small passives that I can. I am taking Singular Focus because I do want as many, like, Originator Dunes and Originator Defiled Cathedral maps that I can get. And I'm specifically trying to focus on those maps. So, you don't have to take Singular Focus if you don't want. You can put it into some Scarab nodes or whatever. But I do want those maps more than I want just more Scarabs. We're taking all the map mod effects so we can get all the quant and pack size. We're taking all the quant and the rarity, obviously. And then I went with red altars. You could do blue. I just wanted to try red for a while. Just kind of do something different for a bit of a change of pace, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it actually paid off pretty well. I got a decent amount of Grand Eldritch Embers, which are worth quite a lot. They're worth like 15 chaos each or something, so they're pretty good. Then we're taking Beyond. We're taking all of the mandatory Beyond nodes to spawn it, Scent of Blood, Endless Tide. So you have a little option down here. You can take a bit more Portal Merging Radius. That's okay, or you can take Fiendish Opulence. I've played around with taking both. Beyond currency really isn't worth very much right now, and this small point right here puts you at 108% chance for your maps to attract Beyond Demons, so you don't need it. But it is kind of nice to have. 25% more currency for nothing. The difference really is just you get a few more Beyond monsters in your maps. Really not that much out of those 2 more small passive points, but you could do that. And then up here, your options really are Pale Clarion to get more currency out of Beyond monsters, basic currency, right? So Wisdom Scrolls and Divine Orbs and Mirrors of Kalandra. Or you could take Swarming Hive, you can get 30% more Divination cards. This one's a lot more of a gamble. I just recommend Pale Clarion, that's what I've been doing. Technically, you could take both and reduce the chance of getting the whatever, these ones are the gore guys, but I think you're better off just taking Pale Clarion and leaving it at that. Then I'm also taking Delirium-related nodes that work really well with Delirium Orbs, because these are all Delirious maps. I'm taking Compulsive Hoarder to get a lot more chances of reward types, or chance of a lot more reward types, I should say. And then I'm also taking Imagined Pursuits so that we get a guaranteed extra reward completion and just more reward progress on the way. And I'm hitting 12, at times even 13 rewards while doing this, so this is definitely worth it. I've gotten Delirium rewards of some value, I think I've maybe got a Divine Orb out of that at some point. I don't know if I got that in the span of doing a little 28 map test here or not, but certainly I've gotten some okay rewards out of the Delirium of it all, so I think this is a good way to spend some points. 6 points here and 4 here, I think that's good. I think I would rather have that than more Scarabs, but your mileage may vary. I think that's the one area where you can do a little bit of playing around with the tree and kind of making it your own. All right, now let's move over to Scarabs and the map device. So map device, you're going to run Harbinger, very simple. You're also going to run one of each of the 4 Harbinger Scarabs. So Harbinger Scarab gives you more Harbingers, just like the map device, three more. You get 1 out of the tree guaranteed, so you get a guaranteed 7 in every map, potentially 8 if you get a proc or whatever, that's fine. The Scarab of Obelisks is awesome. It's mandatory. It adds a bunch of like little obelisks around each Harbinger, and then they drop currency shards when they're defeated, and they usually are like one-shottable. So it's just like, I think roughly like 10 extra currency shards around each Harbinger. And these can be anything. They could be mirror shards. I've gotten a lot of fracturing shards from them. So very, very, very good Scarab. Absolutely mandatory. Do not drop it. 4 Hordes, doubles all the reward, absolutely mandatory, do not drop it. And then finally, Regency, 50% chance to replace the Harbinger with a powerful Harbinger boss. This does stack with this bonus up here, first wave, 25% chance to replace the Harbinger with a powerful Harbinger boss. So if you're getting 7, maybe 8 Harbingers in every map, you're gonna have, 5 or 6 of them be the King Harbingers, and then 1 or 2 be the crappy regular Harbingers. And that's great, because the crappy regular Harbingers drop like a quarter as much stuff as the King Harbingers, so you're getting way, way, way more value out of this. Really, really, like, very important to have all of these Harbinger Scarabs in play. They all have a nice multiplicative effect with each other that you really want to take advantage of. Then there's the Beyond Scarab of the Invasion, and this is absolutely insane. And so because of all the rare monsters in the map from Delirium, but then also in the Harbinger packs, and the fact that the Harbingers themselves count as unique monsters, you're just going to be spawning like a tidal wave of Beyond monsters throughout your map. So you're going to be spawning so many of them. You can get them out of your map boss kill as well. Just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of Beyond monsters coming out of everything. And they're going to drop, currency, tainted currency, all the usual stuff that you would expect. Now, in terms of the map choice, you really have to do Delirious Corrupted 8 mod maps. I really think it's non-negotiable. You could do tier 16s or tier 16.5s. I will say doing tier 16s is like nice and cheap and easy, and it's a great way to burn up all the tier 16s that you'll be farming from that strategy that we put out on Thursday. So I do recommend doing that strategy. That really generated a crazy amount of maps very quickly. Like, I filled up this whole quad tab in under 2 hours doing that. And I definitely want to do more of that. And so, like, I will be. And now I have a use for these tier 16s other than feebly trying to sell them to other people. And yeah, this is like also a great way to kind of burn up some maps like this. This is a tier 16.5 map with really high quantity and pack size rolls on it, but no more currency roll at all. So like, most people aren't going to want to buy this. Even if I could sell it, I probably won't get that much out of it. But this is like a great map for running this strategy, because the lack of the more currency modifier doesn't matter. It's not gonna have any, like, it would be better if it had more currency on it, just for getting more currency out of the like Beyond and Delirium monsters and stuff. But you're gonna get a lot of stuff out of the Harbinger packs because they have so much quantity and pack size affecting them. So there are a couple of really bad map mods on tier 17s and tier 16.5s that I want to point out. This one actually has 2 of them. Rare monsters have volatile cores. Horrendous in this. I did do a tier 16.5 in the span of like kind of setting this video up, and I think I made like 3.5 divines on that map, so it was pretty good. But it had rare monsters have volatile cores. It was a nightmare. I was literally sweating doing that map. So yeah, not very fun. And then the other modifier, rare and unique monsters remove 5% of life, mana, and energy shield for players with or their minions on hit. This map mod is just super brutal. It scales up to about 8 or 9% with the map mod effect. And the ball lightnings that the Harbingers throw out, they are unique monsters. They count with every hit, and they hit like several times a second. So this will just absolutely crank through your health or energy shield pool. So both of those are really bad mods, really, really bad. And then the other one would be rare monsters in the area or shape or touch. This one is not nearly as bad, but it's just like noteworthy that, yeah, it can be kind of painful. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the results here. I've done well over 100 maps of this strategy at this point, and I sort of realized as I was like making my way toward making this video, I probably wanted to actually get some results on how this was rather than just say like, it feels pretty good. So I just did a very simple 28 map test of doing this in regular tier 16s. Felt like that would probably be like the floor for this strategy, kind of the low point. And I made 40 divines. This is a little bit of an underestimate because Wealthy Exile doesn't correctly value the originator maps. I'm not even picking up regular tier 16 maps anymore. But I got, 5 Defiled Cathedral. These are worth about half a divine each, and then 7 Originator Dunes maps. Those are worth about 0.7 divines each. So that's like 4.9 and 2.5 divines. So we just call that 7.5 divines. Then I'm being kind of underestimated on here by Wealthy Exile. I think roughly the cost of doing these maps is about 20 chaos for the map device and the Scarabs. And then I guess you could say that the maps themselves, the Delirious tier 16 8 mod maps, are maybe 20 chaos. I think that's high. But, 15 to 20 chaos, we'll just round up and say 40 chaos each. So, like, if the current state of the divine is like 180 chaos to a divine, which I think is right, that would put you at roughly like 0.22 of a divine per map, which is like pretty low. So if we made 47.5 divines in the span of 28 maps, that's like 1.69 divines per map minus 0.22 for the cost. 1.5 divines per map is pretty good. These are reasonably quick maps. I think you can do about 5 minutes a map, so like 12 maps per minute, or 12 maps per hour. That's like 17 divines an hour for this strategy. That's also like pretty good for chaos, or pretty good for XP and gold. And then does also generate like quite a lot of reliable currency in the form of like chaos and stuff. I think that's reasonably good. I do think I high rolled on this strategy a little bit. Like I did get 20 fracturing shards in the span of 28 maps, which is, I think that's actually about average. That's not too bad. But I got 5 Valdos puzzle boxes, which feels a little lucky. And, then the rest of this is like, it's all about normal, fine. So then I also ran a dozen, mostly like kind of bad tier 16.5s, like maps that I didn't think I'd be able to sell. Stuff like this, stuff like this map, right? Where the quant and pack size aren't particularly high. There's no more currency roll on it. I don't think I'll be able to sell it. Might as well burn it. So some of these were excruciating. Some of the ones that had volatile cores on them, or like 5% of life and ES on hit, those were pretty bad. Way harder than doing them on tier 16s. And in the span of a dozen maps, I made like 23 divines. Of course, once again, we gotta like factor in the value of maps. I didn't get a single Originator Dunes map, which does feel pretty unlucky. But I still like, that's 2 divines, so we could say 25 divines divided by 12 maps. That's like over 2 divines a map. I think the cost of these maps, realistically, you could maybe say they're like half a divine each, so we could subtract like a full, 0.5 of a divine, I suppose. And then I think it's like 0.11, roughly, is what we're saying that the like Scarabs and map device are. So, like less than 1.5 divines per map doing this in tier 16.5s. Again, I think I kind of low rolled on the tier 16.5s. I only got 4 fracturing shards, which does feel a little bit low in the span of a dozen maps. I did get 2 divine orbs, which is like okay, not amazing, but I got a ton of Grand Eldritch Embers. I did get some decent Grand Eldritch Ember altars in the tier 16.5 maps, which I really didn't have in the regular tier 16s. And then I got a lot more chaos per map, like 407 chaos per map, or for 12 maps is like 34 chaos a map, whereas the previous round 675 chaos over the course of 28 maps, about 24 chaos a map, so like over 10 chaos more per map. And given that these were all maps that I really wouldn't have been able to sell realistically, and didn't really have a use for in other strategies, like these would have been pretty bad maps in ambush. I think this was like a pretty good use of them. But again, I really didn't think they were like that amazing for a tier 16.5 strategy. Certainly there's a lot better high-level strategies, but I think for like kind of a mid-level strategy, just running some comfy tier 16s, this is pretty good. So that is Harbingers. They were quite a lot better than I expected going into this. I didn't expect that they would be as good in tier 16.5s as like Ambush or Alpha or anything like that, and I still feel that way. At least for good tier 16.5 maps, I think you're going to have a lot better strategies, but this is like a good way to chew up some badly rolled ones. I think they're okay. As for tier 16s, I think this is a really great strategy. I think it's really chill. I think it ticks a lot of boxes at once. You get gold, you get XP, you get currency. It kind of has it all, and all you have to do is like just kill a bunch of blue guys. And that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord and say hello to me and Sunset if you haven't already. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us so we can keep making more PoE content, become a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.